Cool. All right, let's get started, everyone. Share my screen with you. Oh, someone else wants to get in. Praise Yah. Okay. Right, here we go. Oh, nope. Oh. All right. All right. Can you all see my screen?
It's beautiful.
Oh, yes. Cool. Wonderful. Hey, listen. This particular Torah portion is of great significance. I know I say that a lot about every Torah portion, but this in particular one hits me a little different. And it hit me a little bit different than it did for last year. Okay, there's some things that I brought out last year when I was teaching it, talking about who's your neighbor, how relationships work within that, what are you supposed to do with your brother and all these sorts of things. We're going to cover some of those things, but we're going to try to stick to the understanding about why the Most High has us reading this and how important it is while we're in our exile. A lot of people don't believe that we can be Qadashim right now. Okay. I'm of the opinion, okay, that Qadashim is different than Tameh and Tahor. It's very different. It's very different. It's not the same. The Qadashim is to be set apart, and in English they call it to be holy. So, the goal is to find out how do we achieve what we can while we're in our exile. We don't want to sit on our hands while we're in exile. You do not want to sit down and not do nothing while you're in your exile. While being in exile, it's the time for us to contemplate and to consider and to think about what has happened to us as a people, okay? And if you're joining Israel, it's an opportunity for you to get the insight on what has happened to the children of Israel, okay? And so all of us have a duty and a responsibility to find out what it is that the Most High has said to this people, okay? So we're going to dig in a little bit deeper, and we're going to find out some other things about Qadashim that we didn't find out last year, okay? That's what it says. It says that Yahweh said to Moshe, speak to the entire community of Israel. Tell them you are to be Kadosh, because I, Yahweh, your Elohim, am Kadosh. Everyone, this is not just dealing with that particular time. Like to say that, at that time Israel's supposed to be Kadosh because at that time Yahweh was Kadosh. Yahweh is Kadosh all the time. There was a slide that I could have put in here from Isaiah. You guys are very familiar with this in chapter number 6. It says that Isaiah had saw a vision of the king sitting upon his throne, and there was these fiery beings, and they kept saying, Kadosh, 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 Yahweh Zavaoth. And they sung it. It was something that was sung by them. And it rattled and shook the earth, right? Because of how Kadosh Yahweh is. And so Yahweh is inviting the children of Israel into his world. And he's letting them know that this is how you're going to have to exist. Okay? Because this is how Yah exists. And so Yah never stops existing as being set apart. Never. Okay? You and I, even though we are in our exile, everyone, listen carefully to me, you are still Yahweh's people. You are. You haven't been recognized by the nations as being Yah's people. You and I are the servants of the Most High Yah, even though we're not in service to the Most High. We're still his servant. You and I are still the children of Yah. Still. Even though we're rebellious and we're disrespectful and disobedient. But Yah says that this is what I want you to tell the entire community, okay? Often you hear him talk to the priest. Hey, Moshe, this is what I want you to tell Aharon. Moshe, why do better Yahweh El Moshe? Speak unto your brother. Tell Aharon this. Speak unto the leaders. Speak unto Aaron and his sons. Speak to uh, um, the Kohanim. Tell them what it is. But here he says the community. The community of Israel, everyone, and it's not only the community, it's the congregation. It is the ones who are unified with the same purpose, which is to be the witnesses of Yah. Those are the ones who are supposed to give testimony to who Yah is. Therefore, because they're the ones who are called to be the witnesses, therefore, they're the ones who are supposed to be and exist as Kadosh, Quadosh. Okay, you have another word called Kadosh, which is Chadosh, which has to do with the new month. Okay, this is Quadosh. Okay, you might hear it spoken Kadosh. Okay, but the proper pronunciation is Quadosh. Okay, because Yahweh says that's what I am, and therefore you're going to have to exist. Okay, and there's something connected to our Haftarah that's going to open our eyes about why the Most High says that this is the way you need to be. And that's my job, is to tell you why he says what he says. Because everything is based upon the expectation, okay? This is an expectation that Yah has for the children of Israel, okay? Just like, parents have an expectation of their children. A father may have an expectation of his sons and his daughters. An employer has an expectation that's set for the employees. Business owners have an expectation of the people that work for them. And also, too, the customers have expectations of what they're supposed to receive based on the products or the services that one company may be able to provide. So expectations is something that we're used to. When you and I go out to a restaurant to eat, we have a certain expectation that we're looking for, right? Something that we're expecting, and that we're actually requiring. And if someone doesn't meet those expectations, then we're going to have a problem. Even in marriage, there is expectations, roles and responsibilities and duties that one must perform in order to meet the expectation. If the expectations are not met, then of course you have to make a decision about what you're going to do in order to rectify that situation. Often, when the expectations are not met, you might bring it to someone's attention. You might try to find a way to bring about some type of correction in order to get everything back in alignment. So our Torah portion about Quadashim has to do, and to be set apart, has to do with expectations, okay? So the expectation, the one that Yah begins to talk about, the first words that he speaks about being Quadashim, right? And is that every one of you is to revere his father and mother, and you are to keep my Shabbats, meaning you are to guard my Shabbats. I am Yahweh, your Elohim. You see the word revered there, meaning fear your father and your mother, right? And also to guard my Shabbats. For I am Yahweh, your Elohim. When he uses that term or this signature that says that I am Yahweh, your Elohim, he's saying that by this you are demonstrating that I am your Elohim. If you fear your father and your mother, then I am your Elohim. The fear that Yah is asking for you to have, you and I to have, for our father and our mother is the same fear that he asks for himself. Some people say, well, guess what? I fear God, I fear the Creator, but that's not the same fear that I have for my parents, right? Because it's on another level. No, according to the Torah, according to what's written in the scriptures, it tells us that Yah says that you are going to have the same fear that you have for me, for your parents. And the reason for this is because there is no other fear. There's only the fear that Yah gives to the parents. In order, that's a right that he's given to them. He set them apart for a certain purpose. So the fear that a child, a son or daughter is supposed to have for their parents is the same fear that they're supposed to have for the Most High. Okay, people don't like that because they say their parents are not Elohim. So I don't have to fear my parents like that, So I could do whatever I want, and then I'll work with God on some other level, or I'll work with Elohim and some other level. I could disrespect my parents and nothing's going to happen to me. I'm sorry to tell you that that's not the truth. The truth of the matter is that if we don't revere our parents in the same manner that we revere the Most High, because it's His fear, then Yah says that there's a certain punishment that goes along with that. And in chapter number 20, he says that the punishment for you not revering and not fearing your parents and treating them in a certain manner will automatically get you the death penalty. So it's not your parents' fear, it's the fear of Yah, because the parents are responsible for teaching the children to fear Yah. And the fear that the parents are teaching is the fear that the parents have for the Most High. So the fear is being consistent all the way through from the time that a person's born, all the way to the time when they go through their young adulthood, all the way to the time where they get married, all to the time then when they have their children. This fear of Yah is something that's supposed to be spoken, given, and taught to every single generation that comes upon the face of the earth. Okay. But there's a time in which Yah has said in our Haftarah in Ezekiel, okay, that he said to the children in the desert, don't live by the laws of your fathers and observe the rulings and defile yourselves with their idols. So some people say that this might be a contradiction because on one hand, you tell me to fear them and do what they tell you, don't, listen to what they're saying. But here, the Most High is saying that don't live by the laws of your fathers. That means don't listen to your fathers. Because here the word don't means he uses the word in Hebrew. There's two ways to saying no in Hebrew. Okay. The first word that he uses to say no in Hebrew is a word called lo. Okay. Lo, low. Okay. The second word that he'll use to say not now is all. Okay. That means not. This means never. Okay. So one is never, absolutely never, and the one is like not now. So this one right here is not a low, it's not now. So when he's talking to the children of Israel and the children of their fathers, he told those children, don't, not at this time, don't live by the laws of your fathers or observe their rulings or defile yourselves with their idols. So in scripture, the Most High makes not an exception, right, for what he's talking about. So he's not contradicting himself. It has to do with the idols. If your parents are into idolatry and they're worshiping idols, Yah says, do not listen or live or follow the ways of your parents. So you don't have to obey your parents in this. This is the time that he gives everyone an opportunity to do something different. Just like he says in Ezekiel chapter number 18, that both the parent's life and the child's life belongs to me. The child can see what the father has done and decide, I don't want to be like my father. I could do something different. The daughter can see, like, she can follow and see what her mother has been like and say, I don't want to be like my mother. Because all souls belong to Yah. So the bottom line is, he's saying that this has to do with idolatry. I don't want you to listen to your parents when it comes to idolatry. I don't want you to follow their kukothai, okay, which is their kokes, their decrees, which has to do with their festivals. I don't want you to follow the festivals of your fathers. I don't want you to follow Christmas, Easter. I don't want you to follow Thanksgiving. I don't want you to follow the other things that they do. Okay. I don't want you to follow those things. I don't want you to guard their rulings, the way that they look at things. How do they make their judgments? Because if you do, you're going to defile yourselves with their idols, because it's the idols that they're really observing. It's the idols that's the way that they're making up their festivals. And their idols is the one who's causing them to live a certain way. So this is when Yah's telling them that I don't want you to do this. And this is part about being Quadashim. So today, if you and I decide to live by the laws of our fathers and observe their rulings, then we're going to be defiled. And it's all because of their idols. And because it's with their idols, you're not going to be Quadashim. The idols has to do with being perverted. Okay, so perversion is a big part of not being Quadashim. Okay, so when Yah says that I am Yahweh, he's saying I'm alone Yahweh. Anybody else, any kind of teaching, any type of understanding, any kind of conversation outside of what I said is perverted, is perversion. Okay, that's why he says in our Torah portion, do not turn to idols. Do not turn to idols. Do not cast metal gods for yourselves. I am Yahweh your Elohim, because that has to do with perversion. So any type of image that one may have, okay, it's been made up from the mind, right? And so, you know, if it came from the mind, this is where you get your word image, is from the word imagination. Yah's telling you that you're listening and doing some things based on your own imagination. Casting these comes from the images, which has to do with the way that you think. It's from your imagination. Okay? That's what's going on. You're thinking about these things. You're not thinking about what I said. You're doing something else. And by the way, just so he's letting us know, if you're going to do that, I'm going to let you know right now that if you bring anything that's abhorrent into your house, any type of image, or you share in the curse on it, that's on it, you're going to share in that curse. So if you have anything in your house right now, you need to get rid of it. Instead, you are to detest it completely, loathe it utterly, for it is set apart for destruction. So the images that people were bringing, he said, don't bring this into your house. Don't bring this image into your house. Don't bring any images into your house that reflect idolatry or their practices. Okay. So it could be the Christmas ornaments. It could be the Easter bunny. It could be anything that, you know, would be considered to be connected to idolatry. I don't want you to do that, because those things are going to be set apart for destruction. You will be destroyed too. Okay, so when it talks about this curse that is on it, there's a curse on those images. Anybody that has that in their house is going to be destroyed, because Yah doesn't change. You see? So you need to be set apart. Why? Because I'm trying to prevent you from being destroyed. Quadashim is preventing us from being destroyed. Yah is telling you and I that these things that I'm telling you about are going to cause you to be destroyed. You disrespect your mother and your father, I'm going to destroy you. I'm going to get rid of the wickedness from among my people. This, you guys, this is a tall order. This is a high calling. This is a really high calling. Not in the Christ of the New Testament. The calling that Yah is calling to us and letting us know is so high, okay, that it requires our careful consideration and our attention. Okay, so Yah is giving us warnings, and he's telling us that if you have any images, okay, which comes from your imagination, and it's in your house, I'm going to destroy you. Now, someone say, well, I don't have any images. But the question is do you have an imagination? Where are your thoughts? Where's your creativity at? See, so for the children of Israel, it's about being set apart, right? And that's why it talks about this consideration. Yah wants us to have some consideration. He wants us to carefully think about what he's saying. Shabbat teaching is not about how much I know. It's not about how much, you know, how I can, you know, share thousands of different ideas. It's not about how many slides I have. It's about the moment in which you and I are in right now. Yah's asking for us to consider and to think carefully about everything that he has said. It's literally like a warning to us. In your Torah portion this last week, he says, when you harvest your ripe crops produced in your land, don't harvest all the way to the corners of your field, and don't gather the ears of grain left by the harvesters, right? Likewise, don't gather the grapes left on the vine or fallen on the ground after harvest. Leave them for the poor and the foreigner. He gives his signature, his warning. I am Yahweh, your Elohim. He's not, do they not know that he's not Yahweh? Why does he keep saying, I am Yahweh? Why does he keep saying that I'm your Elohim? Why does he keep saying I'm alone and is this? Why does he have to keep reminding them? He said over 14 times in 2 chapters, primarily in chapter number 19, more specifically, that I am Yahweh, your Elohim. When he's talking about not doing this, we would say we don't have any harvest, we don't have any crops, we don't have any vineyards, so this doesn't apply to me. To be called a she means that, listen, I'm letting you know that I don't want you to be merciless. A person who would do what he's saying not to do right here is a person who doesn't have any mercy. They have less mercy. They're not considerate of the poor. They're not considerate. The people that went into the land of Israel often were strangers who were looking for somewhere to rest, to get rest, and to find some type of shalom and some type of peace. Not like when they went down to Sodom and Gomorrah, they were raped, or they were extorted and their money was taken, they was mistreated, or they had nowhere to lay their heads because nobody had any what you would call hospitality, like Lot. So Yah's telling us that, listen, my people that are set apart are not supposed to be merciless. When he talks about these grapes, right, that fall on that are falling on the ground, or when you're harvesting, it talks about using violence, because when a person takes off the grapes or the vines, they take them, they cut them, they prune them, or they just pull them off with their hands, and they have to use some type of force. So he's saying, listen, don't be that type of person that won't leave anything for anybody. That's a violent person. That's a merciless person. See, violence and being merciless go hand in hand. Yah wants us to be considerate. He wants us to be thoughtful of the poor, because at one point you and I were poor. At one point, the children of Israel were strangers. And he tells us in our Torah portion that you're supposed to love the stranger. If you read your Torah, you would know that, right? You got to love the foreigner and the stranger. Why? Because Yahweh is merciful. Yahweh is merciful. He's not merciless. He's merciful. He's full of mercy. Right? So look at the last part of that word, merciful. He's full of mercy. Merciless, less mercy. No, Yah's full of it. And he's compassionate, and he's slow to anger, and he's rich in grace. These are things that we already know. But Yah wants us to be like him. That's what it is. That's what he's asking us to be. He said, you must exist this way. So he's telling us, don't exist as a violent, merciless person or inconsiderate of others. I want you to exist as like me. I want you to be merciful. I want you to be rich in compassion. And I don't want you to get angry fast. I want you to consider the situation and the circumstance. If someone has done you wrong, I don't want you to automatically blow off the handle. I want you to consider why they did what they did. See, I think sometimes we want to get things solved and answered like really fast, and we don't take the time to consider why would a person do something that they've done. For example, I got people that I've loaned money to, just to give you an example. And I mean, I got literally thousands of dollars, thousands, tens of thousands of dollars loaned out. And every time I think about the people that owe me money, I like to be like, well, why aren't they paying me? Why is it taking them forever? Right? And I get a little angry. I says, calm down, think about it, consider it. Now, first of all, they're coming to you because they have a need. Okay. Secondly, the reason why they're coming to you is because they have no one else to go to. I made you available to them. I sent them to you. It's not on accident. Okay. But this is an opportunity for you to be like me. So I need you to be slow to anger. I need you to be considerate of their situation, right? That they don't have the means. And more than likely, probably half of the people that borrow money from me will never be able to pay me back. So what am I going to do? Continue to be angry with them? Or am I going to be merciful and I'm going to be gracious, right? And I'm going to understand their situation, right? So Yah's letting us know, this is what I need you to do. I'm just using that as an example. Yah says he will not always accuse. Yah's not always going to accuse. He will not keep his anger forever. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. There was a part of your Torah portion that talked about mixing. When Yah talks about observing my regulations, he's literally saying, I need you to guard this, because being Quadashim means that you have a responsibility to guard my regulations. You need to guard what I'm telling you, right? So when he mentions your livestock, don't let your livestock mate with those of another kind. Don't sow your field with two different kinds of grain. Don't wear a garment, cloth made of two different kinds of thread. The word right here that's being used, and I'm not using that much Hebrew today, or, because we have a lot of information to cover, but it's called kilayim. And kilayim, basically the root means to be complete, okay? And so here he's saying that when you have two different kinds of something and you're mixing something, you're trying to make something complete, which it won't be complete. It's not going to function correctly, right? So there won't be any functionality between two mates or two livestock that are from different kinds that are mating with each other. The actual result of that will end up being dysfunction and will be something that's not good, something that doesn't work well. Okay. But the idea is that you're mixing it thinking that it's going to work, and it's not, because what you're doing is you're operating out of confusion. Anybody that would mate a horse and a donkey, knowing those two different kinds, they're a confused person. Something's wrong with them. So often too, we don't like to think that as a species that there's people who have problems, that the mind is messed up, they're confused. The mind is very fragile. Okay. So the Most High knows that these are the people who came out of a place where this type of behavior was happening, right? And also to a place where they're going, where people are mating this animal with this animal, and they're doing this and that. So it's an idea of confusion. If you planted two different types of grapes next to each other, they're not going to function well. There's a structure that each species has that it has to match in order for it to be strong. So Yah is saying that if you do this, you're going to weaken both of the species. You're going to weaken the livestock. You're going to weaken the seed and the field. You're going to weaken the wine. You're going to weaken everything. It's called confusion. Okay. The grains, it's going to be weak. Okay. Because some grains have to be, harvested at a certain time and others don't. So if you mix them, you're confused. It's not going to know what to do. Okay. It's not going to know what to do. The livestock it's not going to know what to do. Am I a horse or am I a donkey? It's not going to know what to do. You understand? Am I a lamb or am I a goat? It's not going to know what to do. It's going to be confused. Okay. When you are wearing two different types of clothing, you're confused. They're not going to function if you wore linen and wool at the same time. One is going to give you a different frequency. I don't know if you know this, but clothing has frequency. It has electricity. It has power. Everything that we have is powerful. So this is not going to work. So everything is on, if you take something, you put it on a different frequency and you mix it, it's going to cause confusion and disorder and dysfunction. See? So this is the reason why the Most High says don't mix. Also, too, mixing of thought. That's where this happens. Remember, it happens in the mind. So the mind is confused. I don't want you to get mixed up. If our people are so mixed up with these different teachings, there's all different types of teachings. They're mixing the New Testament with the so-called Old Testament, the Torah. That's confusion. They're mixing two different cultures. They're mixing the Greek culture with the Hebrew culture. That's confusion. Yah tells the children of Israel, the men and the women, don't mix with these other nations. Why? Because that's confusion. You're not going to be able to function well when you're mixing things that should not be mixed. You cannot do this, not to be Kodashim. So we see that Kodashim, in order to be Kodashim, you cannot be confused. See? But when you're not following Yah's instructions, you're in confusion. See, so this is what Yah is doing. He's safeguarding everything. That's why he says you need to guard my regulations, because his regulations safeguards us from being able to have that confused mind. Yah is setting us straight and letting us know what's right and what's not right. Torah portion said, don't speak a curse against a deaf person. or place an obstacle in the way of a blind person. Rather, fear Elohim, I am Yahweh. Why would he say this? Yah's talking about this because he's saying that the same word that's being used for a curse right there is the same word that's talking about how you would deal with your parents. In another scripture, talks about don't curse your parents, right? So this text says, do not speak a curse against a deaf person. Well, in the Hebrew, it doesn't say that. It doesn't say don't speak a curse against a deaf person. Okay. Number one, because the deaf person can't hear you, right? But this still is a mistranslation, or it's not translated properly. The proper translation is that I don't want you to consider a deaf person worthless. That's why I have this term up here, value. Yah's saying all because a person can't hear doesn't mean that they don't have any value. He's saying all because a person is blind doesn't mean that you have to treat them worthless and you put something in front of them. Don't cause them to stumble. Is he talking about just the physicality of an individual, or is he talking about the both physical and spiritual? Because see, there's deaf people and there's blind people physically, but there's also deaf people and blind people that are spiritually deaf and blind, right? So he's talking about value. It's a value proposition. I want you to value them. And the reason why we know this is because Yah says this in the book of Yashayahu. That says, listen, you deaf. Yah's talking to the deaf. That's a command. Listen, Shaman, you deaf. Okay. Look, that's another command. You blind, right? So that you will see. Who is as blind as my servant, or deaf as the messenger I send? Who is as blind as the one I rewarded, as blind as the servant of Yahweh? I asked myself this morning, like, what do you mean by if the deaf can't hear, then why would Yah say give a command for it to listen? If the blind can't see, then why would Yah give it a command for it to look? Right? And if so, because we know that Yah can speak to the blind and it will be healed, and he can speak to the deaf and they would be able to hear. But the person who's blind and the person that's deaf, if you're deaf, you can't hear. If you're blind, you can't see. So if you're deaf, then who are you listening to? Who would you be listening to if you're deaf? The only person that you really could be listening to is yourself. That's the only person you'll be listening to, because you can't hear anyone else, but you can hear yourself. Remember, if you didn't speak a word right now, you can talk to yourself in your head without even speaking a word. Okay? If you're blind and you couldn't see, you can use your imagination to think of it for yourself. Yah's saying that the children of Israel, they only listen to themselves. They're not listening to him. They only want to see what they want to see, what they can imagine. That's why they create gods. We're the ones who are blind, people. We're Yah's servant. We're blind and we're deaf. We're the one that Yah sent, right? He sent us. But why would Yah send a messenger that was deaf and blind? Who is this one that's blind that I have rewarded? Why would Yah reward the blind? Past tense. Why would he reward? Why would he bring shalom to them? Why would he bring peace to them? I'll tell you. He says, you see much, but you don't pay attention. Oh, so you do have eyes, but you don't pay attention. That word pay attention there is not translated properly. It should be guard. You see much, but you're not guarding. You're not shamar. You're not guarding what I said. You're not guarding what I said. You're my servant, but you don't guard. You see what I said. You see it on the paper. You see it on the pages. You see it in the language. You see it all around you, but you don't guard. You open your ears, but you don't listen. You got ears, but you're not listening. You're not obedient. Yahweh was pleased for his righteousness' sake to make the Torah great and glorious. This is the reason why Yah has sent us. This is the reward, right? This was the purpose of Yah for creating the children of Israel, is for them to make sure that the world would be able to get the Torah. That's why it says, for his righteousness' sake, to make the Torah great and glorious. He's not going to make the Torah great and glorious by people who can't see and the people that don't listen. It's only those who are willing to guard what Yah says that makes the Torah great and glorious. This is the reason why he chose us as a people and sent us into exile, to find out whether or not you and I want to make the Torah great and glorious. Are you and I willing to guard what he said? Just like you did this week. You're guarding the feast, the Chag of Motzoth. You're the feast of unleavened bread. You took all the unleavened bread out of your house. All the kamates, all the leaven out of your house, which represents violence and cruelty and oppression and affliction. You took all that out. So you're guarding the Torah. See? You're the one that Yah is going to reward. You're the servant that Yah is going to reward. Okay? And he says that he wants to make it great and glorious. Right? But it takes concentration. It's going to take concentration. So you can really pay attention. You can really hone in and focus on what he's saying. Because he asked the question, which of you will listen to this? Which one of you, who will listen? And you and I are the ones who would have to say, I am. He wants you to answer the question. Which of you will listen to this? Answer it in your head right now. If you're willing, and say, I am. I'm going to listen. I'm going to guard. I'm going to understand that I'm supposed to bring the Torah to the world through us. We're supposed to do this to make it great and to make it glorious. Who will hear and give heed in the times to come? Which one of you? This is what they call an interrogative or interrogative, depending on how you want to pronounce it. He's asking us a question. Is it rhetorical? Yes. He already knows who's going to give heed. He already knows who's going to really give careful attention and concentration to this. Okay. The times to come is the Akarith Hamayim. So when he said this, everyone, in Isaiah, he was talking about the times in which you and I are living in, which is the Akarith Hamayim. We're living in the last days. And while we're living in the last days, it's only those of us who are willing to listen are the ones who he's going to give the reward to. Only in the last days. Right? So what is Yah trying to establish? Yah is looking for those who have willingness. Because the same text says, who gave Yaakov? Now he switches over. He wants you to know. A rhetorical. Who gave Yaakov to be pillaged? Yisrael to the plunderers? Didn't Yahweh? Why does he say Yaakov to be pillaged and Yisrael to the plunderers? Are they two different people? No. It's not. When Yah speaks of Yaakov and he speaks of Yisrael, he changed Yaakov's name to Yisrael because Yisrael is the one who is overcome with Yah. He's the one who has power with El. Yaakov's life is a picture of what's going to happen to Yisrael. It is. Because Yaakov was pillaged. His father-in-law pillaged him. Remember, he said, you robbed me. How many times did he rob him? He said, you changed my wages. How many times did you change my wages? See? And at the end of being pillaged by his father-in-law, Yah showed him how to get out of the situation and how to become strong. See? So that's what Yah is going to do for Israel. So Yah gave Yisrael to the plunderers, just like he gave Jacob to the plunderers, okay, to be pillaged. Didn't Yahweh, against whom we have sinned and whose ways they refused to walk, whose Torah they did not obey? The reason why we were plundered and the reason why we're going through everything we're going through, everyone, is because we have sinned against the Most High Yah. And we refused meaning that we had no desire of our own will to do what Yah has asked us. Okay, what he's asked of us. So willingness has to do with self-will and self-determination. Yah cannot force you to want to be Quadashim. He will not. It is something that has to come from within. The result of us not listening to Yah has caused us to be plundered. And that's what's going to happen to all of us if we refuse to walk in Yah's ways and to refuse to do what his Torah says. Big part of being Quadashim has to do with communication. Within this word of communication, you have the word unification, okay, or unication, which uni's in there, which is to be a cod, commune, which has to do with community, right? Com, which has to do with communication, to speak, to come together, okay? So in this Torah portion, it says, do not be unjust in judging. Show neither partiality to the poor nor deference to the mighty, but with justice, judge your neighbor. In Zadik, to be righteous. We were told in the New Testament that I don't want you to judge anybody. And the reason why they told you not to judge anybody, because you don't have a right to judge anybody. But we see in our Torah portion, the Most High says that you should judge. That judge right there means that you have to make a decision. But your decisions cannot be based upon whether or not someone's poor, and it can't be based upon somebody being rich. The partiality of the poor is I don't care about what their face looks like. I don't care how much mud they got on it. I don't care how dirty they are. I don't care how skinny they are. I don't care what their clothes look like. If they broke my laws, you're going to have to execute judgment in righteousness. I don't care how wonderful someone looks. I don't care how blissfully, cheerfully, and robust they look. I don't care how much gold they got on their neck and how many rings and how beautiful her eyes are, or how handsome he is, or how long his hair is. If you broke my laws, you're going to put him to death, depending on what the law he broke, you see. So the judgment has to be Zadik. And I'm telling you as a people that if you're not going to be Zadik, then you're not going to be Quadashim. Judging is part of being Quadashim, making a separation. Okay, so your separation has to be just. Also, too, you found in your Torah portion, don't go around spreading slander among your people. But also don't stand idly when your neighbor's life is at stake. I am Yahweh. Meaning, I have the word merchant here. Yah's talking about a person that is spreading slander and rumors about someone is like a merchant. They're a trader. So what they do is they go to the marketplace and they begin to talk and to be able to sell things. And what they're selling is different situations and different personal things about a person's life. And they go around spreading rumors and they do slander, and that's what they merchandise in. So the Most High is saying, if you're Quadashim, you're not going to do this. If you do this, right, there, of course, there's punishment, like we talked about Zazarat and so forth. The Most High will punish you in that. But even so, Quadashim, people who are Quadashim don't do this. So can you and I be Quadashim in this regard? Yes, we can. Yes, we can. Do we stand by idly when someone's life is at stake and we don't stand up for them? No. Yah says stand up. Stand up. That's part of being Quadashim, because that's what Yahweh would do. See, that's why he says, I am Yahweh, because this is what I would do. Yah's saying that I don't go around spreading rumors and I don't talk about you to other people. I'll tell you to your face. I'm not going to go and talk to the nations. I'm not going to go to these other nations and talk bad about you and never directly confront you so you can make a difference and possibly change your ways. Now, the nations may be reading about what's happened to you because I put it out on blast for you. But the only reason why that happened is because you didn't want to do what I said. So Yah is saying that, listen, don't go around and be a merchandiser. Don't be a trader of someone's secrets. If someone talks to you and they give you their confidence, don't break that confidence. Don't go and sell it. You know, and you said, well, how do we sell a person's secrets? You sell it for advantage. You sell it for, you know, to be liked by somebody. You sell it so you can be accepted by them or be in their circle. Don't do that. That's not Quadashim. Okay. Most High told us also in our Torah portion, do not hate your brother. And by the way, I want to let you know that I don't have every single thing not to do in here. These are the things in which the Most High put a place upon my mind to share and to deal with. Do not hate your brother in your heart. Okay. And that word right there, your brother, is akika. So don't hate me. Don't turn away from akika, okay, in your mind, but rebuke akika. Rebuke me, right? Your neighbor, again, is someone who's close to you, someone who you have a relationship with, someone who you spend time with. But you have to be able to have the type of relationship that if they do something to you, you're supposed to confront them and you're supposed to reason with them. And rebuking them means that you're going to adjudicate the situation. So if they did something that you didn't like or something that was wrong, you have a right to rebuke them. Okay. You have a right to bring it to their attention. You have a right to have a discussion. You have a right to talk about it and to reason with your neighbor or your brother. Okay. The hatred, a lot of times you hold on to these things, and some people hold on to things for years. You know, he's not just talking about your brother, he's talking about your sister too. She has the same root in akika. It could be akoth, same letters. So he's not just talking to the males, he's talking to everyone. So Yah's telling us, I don't want you to hold on to these things because Quadashim does not allow you not to judge and does not allow you, right, to rebuke. So you see the Quadashim is about judging, you see, but in righteousness. You know, you see that Quadashim is about reasoning, right? I want you to reason and have a discussion with someone who's done something wrong to you, right? So, for example, the people that I've loaned money to, I've brought it to their attention, and I will bring it to their attention, and I won't hold any, you know, I'm not going to get around them. They make me sick. I'm mad at them because of what they did to me, because I didn't have the courage to go ahead and say, well, let me reason. If you're right and you're right in your righteousness, then you're right. It's okay to sit and have a conversation so they won't carry around sin because of him. So you don't want to carry around kata, you know, missing the mark. You're missing the mark in the Quadashim if you're not being able to have that conversation. So you got to ask yourself, whatever they did or whatever they said, take the time to have that conversation. And so you won't go around carrying this, okay? Because when you carry this around, the Most High said, then it's sin, right? And I don't want you to live like that. I don't want you to bear that, right? So I don't want you to carry around kata, okay? And the kata means that you're all of a sudden now, every other move that you make after this, if he says that you're carrying around sin, then that means that you're missing the mark. And what is the mark? The mark is to be Quadashim. See, I don't want you to miss being Quadashim. So don't let your brother and what he's done to you allow you to miss the mark. That's what he's saying. Don't put a breach in a relationship with Yah because you don't have the courage to go talk to the person that offended you. It's better to have that conversation and give the person the opportunity to repent and to say that they're sorry or to make things right. That's what we're looking for. So he's saying, even in Quadashim, you have to take some type of action. Why? Because Yah is reasonable. Because that's what Yah has done. So I hope you can see what I'm making comparisons between what Yah has asked of us and who Yah is. Yah says, don't be merciless. Why? Because I'm merciful. I want you to be reasoning. I want you to reason with your brother. Why? Because I'm reasonable. I want you to be like me. So Yah gives a command to the children of Israel. Come now, says Yahweh. Let's talk this over together. I want to talk to you about what our situation is. Going back to what we just read about your brother, he's telling you, I'm going to come and I want to talk to you. I don't want you to continue going through life because Yah is saying, I don't bear the sins of anybody. Yah's not bearing that. For example, Yah doesn't sin. Yah is perfect and he's holy, right? He's kadosh. So he's saying that's the way I want you to be. You can't be righteous in your judgment if you're holding sin. You cannot be righteous in your judgment if you're a rakil, if you're a tail-bearing, you're a merchandiser. I want this to be consistent in your life. And these are the behaviors in which I'm asking you to do because this is who I am. And for you to be connected to me, then this is what you have to be. So let's talk this over together. Let's have a conversation. Let's have a discussion. Even if your sins are like scarlet, meaning you're sinful, right? They're all over you. You're red. They will be white as snow. I'll remove it. I'll change the color. Even if they're red as crimson, they will be like wool. They will be white. You see? So Yah's saying, even though you may have your sin, even if your brother sinned against you, it doesn't mean that you can't have a conversation. I want to have a conversation. So we see that our Creator is reasonable. Therefore, you and I need to be reasonable. Being unreasonable means that I'm not going to have a conversation. I'm not going to talk about it. I'm not going to try to resolve this conflict. So our Elohim is one who says, I want to resolve conflict because I'm more concerned about our relationship. I want to have a relationship. I want us to be together. Yah does not owe that to us. This is just who he is. You don't owe your brother a conversation. It's just who you are that demands you to have a conversation. You understand? So this is what Yah's talking about. In that same text, the Most High says, if you're willing, after we have this conversation, right, and obedient, you will eat the good of the land. But if you refuse, going back to that idea of not listening to the Torah, but being self-willed, having a strong head, and being rebellious, you will be eaten up by the sword. So I'm giving you a choice. But I want to have a conversation. I want the good for you. But if you don't want the good and you refuse and you're not willing and you're so self-willed, then you're going to get the sword. For the mouth of Yahweh has spoken. So Yah is not minimizing himself by having a conversation. He's showing his greatness. The reason why you and I are able to have a relationship and even starting to build this relationship back with the Most High, coming to the knowledge of the Most High, is because the Most High is the one who initiated the conversation. You and I were never looking for Yah. He's been looking for us. And he says, here are the terms. If you're willing, if you have something in you to fill the void, because that's what willing means, means that you see something that needs to be done, and I'm going to do it in order to fulfill it, to make it complete. And that can only happen through our obedience. And that obedience only happens when we want to have a conversation, when we're willing to listen to the Most High. You see? So this is the reason why he says, listen, you deaf. Because he wants to have a conversation. He has to command it for us to stop listening to ourselves. I don't want you to listen to yourself. I want you to listen to me. Why? Because do two people travel together without having so agreed? This is in the Torah, right? I mean, not the Torah, this is in the prophets. In the book of Amos, chapter number 3, he asks you the question, can two people travel together without having so agreed? I got the Hebrew there is what the ha-yelaku. The yelaku is not only to travel, but to spend time with each other, but also to live with one another, to go in the same way, because lak means to walk, right? So I want you to walk, and walk is a way that you live your life. So let me show you right quick in the Hebrew. This two letters right here is the lamed and it's the kaf, right? And here's the final kaf. That means to have the staff in your hand. Okay, this is your staff. Your staff. And when you have your staff in your hand, you're walking, you're going somewhere, and you have a destination. You're not just walking to be walking, you're going to the destination. So the Most High is saying, haven't you said that you would want to walk? You and I, don't you guys, you said that you're going to walk, but how can two walk together? So Yah's telling you that he walks, he goes from destination to destination. Yah walks the earth. When he chooses, he walks among the people of Israel when he has his sanctuary among them. He uses this word, yakda, okay? Yak. Yakda, okay? Within that word yakda, okay, I just wrote it out in English for you. Even in this word yakda is our word echad. Okay, echad. So right here, here's the ket and here's the dalet. when he adds this letter, it changes it from the aleph to the yod because it's talking about he, right? Right? He's walking. So, or as one. So the people that are walking with the Most High, he's saying, look, if you and I, when we're traveling together, that word together right there is talking about being echad. You and I cannot walk together if we're not echad. You and I cannot live together if we're not echad. You and I cannot sleep together if we're not echad. You and I cannot go on to business together unless we're echad. You and I cannot worship together unless we're echad. See? So you see right here that there is no mixing. One person can't be going one way and another person going the other. You have to make an agreement. Okay? So that's what he's talking about. So he's saying that you and I have to agree on this. I want to agree on this. When Yah came to the children of Israel, he asked them through Moshe, I want you to do two things. Two, that's it. I want you to Shema and I want you to Shamar. Those are two things I want you to do. And he went and told Moshe to ask the children of Israel, are you going to do this? The Shema is to listen and obey. And the other part is to guard. I want you to do the listen and guard what I say. And you know what they said? Yes. We'll do everything that you said. Did they hear any words that the Most High said? No, not yet. Doesn't matter how many words. I don't care if it's 10 words or 1,000 words. You agreed to do this. So he's reminding them that you have already agreed to walk with me. You already agreed to be one with me. Now that I'm telling you what it is, and I'm telling you to be Quadashim, and I'm telling you to be Tahor, which is to be pure, I'm telling you to be Zadik, which is righteous, I'm telling you these things, and all of a sudden you're going to act like you didn't say what you said. You're acting like you didn't agree. See? What is the agreement here? The agreement is in this word called no adu. No adu. Okay? You've agreed. You can see in there is the two letters that I always talk about, which is the ayin and the dalet. That's the eye and that's the door. What is the eye of the door? It means that you see. What did you see? You're a witness. This is the same word that is used for the adoth or the Edah, which is the congregation or the assembly. My witnesses. You've already agreed to be my witnesses. You already agreed to be my congregation. You already agreed to be my people. You already agreed to do what I told you to do. Now, you're acting like we never had that conversation. You're acting like I just forced this on you, like I just took you out of Egypt and I forced you to do this. I didn't force you to do anything. You said you would do it. When you said that you were going to be my wife, you said that you're going to do everything I said according to the agreement. You said it. You agreed to it. And all of a sudden you're reneging on the deal. You said that I would be your Elohim. That's what you said. You understood it. You opened your mouth and you said it. You testified to it. And you did it before the heavens and the earth. And you did it in front of the host of the heavens. I got to hold you responsible for the words that come out of your mouth. The very words that you and I spoke and said to Yah are the very words in which you and I are going to have to be responsible for today. I'm going to make you live up to what you said. You see? So communication, everyone, is a big part of being Quadashim. It's a big part of it. Huge. It's a big part of it. You see? Don't take vengeance on or bear a grudge against any of your people. That's called a sheen. Rather, love your neighbor as yourself. I am Yahweh. Telling us again, this is who I am. Okay? You're not going to take vengeance on anybody. You're not going to take, listen what he's telling us. So we'll be clear. Yah's talking to the congregation of Israel. He's not talking to any other nation. He's not telling Israel that if your enemies come against you, like Moab and all of them, that you don't supposed to take vengeance on them. He's not saying that. He's not telling you like the New Testament, let somebody slap you in the face and you don't supposed to do nothing. He's not saying that. He's not. But he's telling you this. I don't want you to take vengeance or bear a grudge against any of your people. Your people. Yisrael are the people that are joined with you. You don't bear any grudge. Not then and not now. If you and I, listen, this is the expectation. If you and I are taking vengeance and bearing grudges against any of our people, then you're not called a sheen. And if you're not called a sheen, then what they will call is that you and I are an abomination to Yah. That's what it is. The actions that we do in our behaviors will be considered an abomination. New Testament told you to love your neighbor. Yah has already said this. I need you to guard against taking a grudge. Question is does Yah hold a grudge? And the answer to that is yes and no. Yes, he does bear a grudge against certain groups of people on the face of this earth, but not his own people. See, so there's no contradiction. Some people say, well, you might see that he said, I hate Esau, and he's a land of wickedness. I'm going to destroy him perpetually. He also said to Amalek, I'm going to destroy him forever. He's angry at him. You also see that he says he's mad and angry at all the nations. So he's contradicting himself. No, he's not. He's saying he's not going to hold a grudge against any of his people. Here it is. He will not always accuse. Yahweh will not always accuse who? His people. He will not keep his anger forever against who? Against his people. I have the Hebrew letters or words right there called lo. And lo means never. It means absolutely never. Okay. And this keeping right here is this guarding of anger. That he's not going to guard his anger. He's not going to be a caretaker of it. He's not going to nurse it. He's not going to nurse it forever. You see, Yah does get angry, but he doesn't do it forever. He's not going to do it forever. He's not going to guard it forever. It's only for a certain time. And we can be thankful for that. Why? Because that would be going against Yah's mercy, because Yah tells us that he's merciful. So how could he be merciful, but yet he still holds on to his anger forever? He's letting us know that I don't hold my anger forever. So why would you hold your anger against your brother? Why would you harvest and care and cherish anger against your own people? Why would you do that? I'm not going to do it against you. So why would you do it against your brother or your sister? Vengeance is mine, saith Yah. It belongs to me. Why? Because it's going to be done in righteousness. So I know that there's certain things that are going to happen to you that only I can take care of. So these people right now that are claiming that, they're going to take vengeance and do this and do this and do this and that and all this kind of stuff, they're out of line. They're not being quadashim. And there's a cost and there's a penalty for this, which Yah wants to share with us. Okay. So lo was mentioned over. Somebody tell me how many times was the word lo or not or never would you think was mentioned in the Torah portion? Just take a guess. Was it 10 times? Was it 20 times? Was it 30? Was it 40? What was it?
50.
42 times. 42 times. 97% of that was in chapter number 19. It talked about being called Hashem. Chapter number 20 talks about the punishments for not being called Hashem. 42 times. 42. See? So when you look at that and you just do the numbers, because remember, with us, it's always going to be about the numbers, because Yah talks about, be fair in your judgment and your measurement and so forth that you read in there. Chapter number 19 only has 35 verses. Yeah, 36 verses? No, 37. So there's only 37 verses in chapter number 19. And there's 42 no's, nevers. So what is Yah telling us about Quadashim? He's saying, I'm absolute about what I'm saying to you. And he's saying that it's not at this time you should not do this. He's saying, never shall you hold a grudge. Never shall you mix. Never shall you hate. Never. See? So Quadashim is about absoluteness. Doesn't change, because Yah doesn't change. If we were to try to change it, then we're mixing of some ideas and some thoughts in which Yah says you're not going to do that. There's a question that we need to ask ourselves. And it's called Mi Kamoka. You probably heard it. I was playing a song in the beginning of our teaching called Mi Kamoka Adonai. Right? It's a beautiful song. It's sung in Hebrew. It talks about who is like you, Elohim. Who is like you, El? Who is like you? Mi Kamoka. Who's like you? And I thought about that, and I meditated upon that, and I began to weep. So I can't weep right now because I wept all yesterday when I read it. Because the Elohim that you and I serve, and who is like him, the one who's pardoning, not just pardoned, past tense, he's always pardoning. He's always forgiving. And he's always overlooking the crimes of the remnant of his heritage. I wept, and I've never wept before over reading this. It's in the book of Micah. I wept over it, everyone, because one of the words that stuck out to me was being a remnant. Read the text carefully. Who is an El like you? Pardoning the sin and overlooking the crimes of the remnant. Sometimes we just skim coat right over that, and we don't understand what this means. Yesterday, it came clear to me that I'm the remnant. I'm the leftover. I'm what's remaining. I'm the grapes that were left on the edges of the field. I'm the one that Yah considered. I'm the one. I'm the harvest that's left over that nobody else wanted. I'm the one that Yah considered. You're the one. You're the heritage. When he talks about his heritage, he's talking about his nakalato. Okay? It says he does not retain his anger forever because he delights in chesed. He delights in mercy. As a remnant of Yah and as a residue or something that is left over, Miel, who is like you, Komoka, who is like you? No say, I'm continuing pardoning and forgiving Awon, my perversity. You have forgiven the perversity and you have crossed over. You're overlooking upon the rebellion of your Lishareth. I'm the remnant, and so are you. You and I are Yah's nakalato. Yah's nakalato is not just his heritage, it is his possession. I'm going to overlook the crimes of my remnant. I'm going to overlook and pardon and forgive the sin of my remnant. The ones that are left over. The ones that are left over are the ones that I decided to keep. I highlighted here that hey kazik, meaning that Yah he doesn't hold, he doesn't retain, he doesn't put a strong grip on his anger, his apo, his wa'ad. He's not going to let this continue. But he kafetz and the kased who? He is merciful. And this is what makes him so glorious. And this is what makes him so different. And who can be compared? Who's the Mikamoka? El. Who is Mikamoka El? Who is like you, El? My power? You see? Of his remnant. He's not holding a strong arm on you and I. He's not. Because it's about Yah saying, I have an approval now. I've made an approval. I approve of you now. When it says he will have, again, compassion, it says now I have an approval. I've now approved them. He will subdue our iniquities. That means your perversities. I'm going to take those things and I'm going to take them away from you. I'm going to throw them into the depths of the sea. You will show truth to Yaakov and grace to Abraham. He's going to show a firmness to Yaakov that what I said to you I meant, and the grace that I promised to you, Abraham, I'm going to do it because I swore it to them. Because our lives, the lives of the remnant is aligning with Yaakov and Abraham. We're becoming like our fathers. We're keeping our word to Yah. These men that are mentioned right here were followers of Yah. They were hospitable. They didn't hold grudges. They didn't. They didn't. They weren't seeking to go kill their brother. They would have discussions. Abraham had a conversation with Lot. Hey, listen, the land can't bury me and you. Our men are arguing and fighting about this. Guess what? What do you want to do? If you say that you go to the left, I'll go to the right. If you want to go to the right, I'll go to the left. Reasonable. What did Yaakov do when he left? Hey, Lavan, let's make a covenant. I won't come against you. You won't come against me. Having a conversation, you see, is based on those conversations that Yah had with our fathers that you and I need to pay attention to. And he's trying to have a conversation with us. So we need to listen to it. But our Elohim will have approval on us. Yeah. Because only a remnant will return of Yaakov. A remnant will return. Only a remnant to the mighty El. Only a small residue is going to return. For although the people of Israel like the sand of the sea, only a remnant. The one that Yah just said, I'll forgive. The one that he says, Mi kamocha. Only them will return. Because destruction is decreed, is an overflowing with justice and context. The Most High has always only dealt with a small group of people after he destroyed Jerusalem. What did he do? He said only a small remnant is going to return. Only a small remnant returned. Only a small group of people are going to return to Yah. And the ones that are going to return to Yahweh of Yisrael are the ones that Yah is going to harvest. They're the ones that he's harvesting. He said, I will bring you out from the peoples and gather you from out the countries where you were scattered like a seed. When I scattered you, I scattered your seed to the nations. When you took root into the ground, you then started growing up. But because you're growing up among a whole bunch of other people, I don't want you around them, so I'm going to come and take you out. What? A mighty hand and a stretched out arm and poured out fury. This is in your haftarah. So I'm going to harvest you. I'm going to take you only a small, I'm going to harvest you. And then once I harvest you, I want to make a selection. After I harvest you from all the nations, I'm going to bring you into the desert of the peoples. And I'm going to judge you face to face. I'm going to plead with you face to face. I'm going to judge the case. I'm going to bring out the judgment. If you want to know what you're going to be judged for, then read chapter number 20 of Leviticus, which tells you if you violate anything in chapter number 19, chapter number 20 is your sentence. If you know chapter number 20 in the book of Leviticus, it tells you all the punishments. And primarily in there, he says, your blood will be upon you. You curse your parents, you're getting it. You're dying. You commit adultery, you're dying. You sleep with your mother and your wife and her a woman and her mother, you're being burned to death. You do homosexuality, you're dead. I'm bringing you out there because guess what? There won't be any more conversation. When I judge you, you're not going to be, there's nothing that you can say at that moment. Because you weren't willing and you weren't obedient. But I'm going to judge you. I'm going to judge you because you didn't want to be Quadashim. You didn't want to be separate. You didn't want to be merciful. You didn't want to be compassionate. You didn't want to have a conversation. You would rather hold on to a grudge for 25 years. And I ain't hold nothing against you. I told you if you would just be willing and obedient, if you would change your ways. Your judgment is not righteous. Just as I judged your ancestors in the desert of the land of Egypt, so I will judge you, says the supreme master of masters, Yahweh. I will make you pass under the crook and bring you into the obligations of the covenant. I'm making a selection. I'm making a selection. After I gather you and harvest you, I have to make a selection. Then I'm going to bind you to what? To the obligations of the covenant. That's what that word obligation means. I'm then going to put a yoke on you. I'm going to put the agreement of the covenant back on you. Everything that you said that you were going to do, but I'm not going to force the yoke on somebody who doesn't want to listen to what I said. I told you if you are willing and obedient and you're not self-willed, but if you're a rebel and you refuse, you will get the sword, people. So when he talks about, I'm going to make you pass under the crook, that means the staff. I'm going to put this staff back on you. Now that you're willing to obey what I'm saying, I'm going to bind the yoke of the covenant back onto your neck. And you're going to be what I want you to be. You're going to live the way that I told you to live. You're going to do what I said you're going to do. You're going to live up to the words that you said to me. And I'm going to live up to the words that I said to you. There's no room for any rebel. After I bind, I'm going to purge because I made my selection process. I will rid you. I will get rid of you, the rebels. I'm going to take them away from you. The people that are bitter about what I said. The people that are stagnant in their flow.
They don't want to move. They want to stay where they are in their life. They want to hold on to everything. They're not interested in progress. They're a dirty pond versus being a living stream of living water. They're the ones who are in revolt against me. There's rebels right now in all four corners of the earth that are still in revolt against what God said in chapter number 19 in Leviticus. We don't have to talk about chapter number 20 about the punishment. They're going to get it. You read it. If you read the Torah, you would know they're going to die. Yah opens up the Haftarah talking about if you're going to judge them, son of man, you tell them about all the disgusting practices that their ancestors did. The disgusting practices is everything that is mentioned that he told you not to do in chapter number 19. Treating a deaf person like they're worthless is disgusting to Yah. It makes him sick when you and I don't forgive. When you and I are considered the poor and the weak and the stranger, that is disgusting to Yah. When children don't obey their parents, that's disgusting to Yah. Any type of revolt against what he said is disgusting to Yah. Not keeping the Shabbat is disgusting to Yah. Not standing up for the old and the gray-headed person is disgusting to Yah. Cutting the edges of your hair and your beard off is disgusting to Yah. It's an abomination to Yah. And what you and I don't understand is Yah chose us to be Quadashim. Because he doesn't want to look at us and be disgusted with us. I'm going to bring them out from the land. Who? The rebels. The ones who are not willing, the ones who refuse. But they will not enter the land of Yisrael. Because they're not Quadashim. They're not Quadashim. Then you will know that I am Yahweh. The same phrase that he uses in Leviticus chapter number 19, 14 times, I am Yahweh, Anoki Yahweh. Then you'll know that I meant what I said in chapter number 19. Then you'll know that I meant what I said about being Quadashim. Then you'll know what I meant what I said. Because these individuals are not going into the land. They will not enter the land of Yisrael. They will not plant a tree in Yisrael. They will not eat the fruit out of the land of Yisrael. They won't drink the water out of Yisrael. They won't harvest in Yisrael. They won't celebrate in Yisrael. This is the expectation from every person who says that their name is Yisrael. And those who join themselves to us are under the same law. You will know that I am Yahweh because they're not going in. They violated my Shabbats. You will know that Ani Yahweh. I am Yahweh. When I bring you into the land of Israel, then you're going to know. They're going to know when they don't go in, then you're going to know who the remnant, who the one that I put the yoke on, who the ones who are willing. Because you trust me and you believe what I said, and I'm going to show you that I need Yahweh. That I meant what I said, and you took me for my word. You listened to what I said, which your ancestors did not do. You listened when nobody else was listening. You listened and you obeyed what I said. And because you've done it, I'm bringing you into the land. I'm going to bring you to the country which I pledged by raising my hand to give to your ancestors, Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. And there, it's only there will you remember your behavior and all the things you did by which you defiled yourselves. I'm not talking to the rebels. I'm talking to you whose eyes have been shut closed and whose ears have been closed, where you ain't heard or seen what I said completely. You will loathe yourselves for all your evils that you've committed. Where? In the land of your exile? No, people. It's the evils that you committed that got you put out of the land. Is for chapter number 20, verse number 1. It says, anybody that gives their sons or their daughters or any of their seed to Moloch to kill them and sacrifice their children. You and I are the ones who are doing this. But we're the ones that Yah's showing mercy to. You understand? You don't know your past. You don't. You know the 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years you've been living here, but you don't know what you did before. That's something people don't understand about the Torah. The children of Israel and the eternal people. Yah has been merciful. He said, I'm going to scatter you among the nations. We're those people. You will know Ani Yahweh. You will know that I'm Yahweh. When I have dealt with you in a manner that preserves my name, which is his reputation. Not according to your evil ways and your corrupt actions, house of Israel, says the supreme master of masters, Yahweh. Ani Yahweh. Elohecha, I'm your Elohim. Command, live. Walk, breathe my laws. My kukim. Observe my rulings. And obey them. And keep my Shabbats, Kodosh. And they will be a sign between me and you. So that you will know that I am Yahweh, your Elohim. Yah's kukim, which is his laws, his rulings, his mishpatim, and his Shabbats are the sign between us and Yah. Then you'll know that I'm Kadosh. If you and I don't keep what he says, and we don't live the way that he said in chapter number 19, with those ideas, not because I don't have a vineyard so I can't be merciful. No. Yah is basing the relationship that we have with him based on whether or not you and I have kept chapter number 19, the ideas and the principles behind it. Otherwise, he would have never matched it to chapter number 20 of Ezekiel, because chapter number 19 and 20 of Leviticus goes with chapter number 20 of Ezekiel. When you read those, and I want you to read it today, then you can see the comparison. So, oh, this is what he's talking about. This is why he's telling them, are you going to judge them? Because these are the things that he told them not to do. Because that's how they show his holiness, if they would do this. Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear Ha Elohim. Ha means the Elohim, not a Elohim, the Elohim. And keep his commandments, his mitzvot. For this is the whole duty of mankind. For Ha Elohim shall bring every work into judgment. Every secret thing, everything that's concealed, whether it be good or whether it be evil. You and I can plan on everything that we've done to be brought into judgment. And if you and I have decided to do what Yah says, He said, I'll have to have mercy on you. I'll forgive your sins. I don't need to kill a human being to do that. I don't need a lamb to do that. I don't need a ram to do that. I don't need an ox to do that. I don't need a priest to do that. All I need for you to do is to know that I'm the one who's merciful. And because Yah is merciful, he asked for us to be merciful. Question: is that reasonable? Does this sound reasonable to you? Anybody? Is this unreasonable? What he's asking? No, it's not. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom to you. Understand that we are in the last days. And Yah has assured us that he's going to come and get his people. And you want to be prepared for that day. You don't want to get to the wilderness and start looking around and asking, am I going to be okay? You don't want to do that. What you want to know is what you found out today. The Yah is merciful to those who are willing and obedient to follow his laws, his statutes, and the commandments. Not just study the Torah, not just read it, but to do it. That's what he's asking. Stop recording, Cisco.